speaker, Clive Grinyer, who I've known man and boy again, Jesus, is the Director of Design, Innovation and Usability at Orange, the well-known French telecom company. Clive's title of the speech again has changed 4 or 5 times from the one I have printed here, but it's entitled Lipstick on a Pig, and the main thrust of the proposition are: what are the problems with convergence and usability when design is brought too late into the process? Designers need to be prepared to create a real brand experience, working together with businesses to use design as a strategic tool. So for our first 20 minutes, please welcome.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much for asking me to talk. Looking forward to it. So yes, I am indeed Clive Grinyer, and the title of my talk is, in fact, Lipstick on a Pig, which perhaps says it all, really. I'll explain why I call the talk Lipstick on a Pig as we go through. But perhaps I ought to just briefly explain who the hell I am. Yes, I do work for Orange. I've worked at Orange for nearly 5 years now. And during that time, Orange has metamorphosized into an international company that is not just a mobile phone company anymore, but is a huge convergent telecoms, communication, content, gaming type of company. And it's French. I've just come back from spending a little more than a year in Paris, where I've been discussing the meaning of design to a Latin mindset, which is very different to an Anglo-Saxon mindset, which is something we could discuss. And what I do at Orange, what design means at Orange, is sometimes very little, sometimes quite a lot. But what I've actually done is work in the mobile space. One of the first things I did at Orange was to create, very top there on the left, what we call a home screen. And that meant that, as you'll see, I suppose really the first thing I did at Orange was find out that Orange had no power and didn't do anything, that it was all done by people like Nokia and Motorola and Samsung and LG. But slowly, over my time there, we've created a presence for Orange, a contact really with customers. So we created the home screen, which puts a very top-level user interface on top of a mobile phone, for better or worse. Created mobile portals such as Orange World. Of course, this is across 19 Orange countries. Orange is much bigger, perhaps, than you realise in any one country. And then, as I say, it's no longer a mobile company, it's a web company. So creating a web look and feel and a web experience for internet services that were initially not really taken very seriously by Orange, I'll be honest. But with the convergence of Wanadu and Orange together, we suddenly had to behave in a very different way, in a very new way, and understand very different types of customers and create user experiences on the web that actually meant something and allowed people to do very different types of tasks they want. And it goes down to graphical iconography, creating the visual language of Orange. And now, I've sort of gone full circle because I started off as a product designer. I'm now developing hardware, Orange hardware. That's a voice-over IP phone. We're creating our own range of mobile phones next year, which is hugely exciting. So we can finally, we have TV on the mobile, we have TV on the TV, we have text messaging on the mobile, we have text messaging on the TV. Bringing that level of convergence together is my job, and creating the physical hardware that goes with it as well. Now, Orange is a great company. It's a fantastic brand. It's a world-famous brand. It's one of the casebook studies of how to do a brand. It doesn't have the word phone in it, which is great. It's not Vodafone. It doesn't have the word mobile in it. It's a colour. It could be anything. It could have been a restaurant. And it's a very can-do culture. It's got a DNA still in it. And it can do literally everything. It goes from fixed line. It goes through web phones, mobile phones, through a web shop, internet applications, and through into television, which is absolutely fantastically exciting to be a designer trying to stitch all those spaces together. The problem is what actually should it do? And what Orange does, just like all mobile companies, is take a look at what it can do and make loads of stuff. Unfortunately, what tends to happen is that nobody actually wants it. And what people really want to do is very often just that thing. Of course, Simon is famous for pulling out an old handset connected to a mobile phone. And it sort of represents, at the end of the day, what 99% of our customers want to do is communicate simply and beautifully to as many people as possible. And we want to give them very exciting new technological ways of communicating, like the wonderful Visio phone that was created for France, of which we sold a huge number. I think it got into double figures, actually. And then you begin to realise that just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do. But what we need to do now, and what we all need to do as designers in this very technologically pushed world, certainly the world I live in, is to actually work out what should we be doing, what do people really want. When I first started Orange, this was the first phone I was given, and it's an SPV. It's very exciting. It was a Microsoft platform phone, the very first Microsoft phone. Had more computing power in it than the Apollo moon missions put together. It took me 2 weeks to work out how the address book worked. It was brilliant and appalling. It was designed to be email and text messaging heavy to raise ARPU, average revenue. And the keyboard was entirely impossible to use. You couldn't see the letters on it. And that was before you got into the user interface, which was very clever, completely counterintuitive. And I realised we had a lot of problems in the mobile industry when I was given this phone, but I realised also there was only one direction, and that was it could only get better. One of the great opportunities and great things about telephone and mobile phone operators, and especially Orange, is they've all got really, really good. And I'm very proud of how Orange did it first, at making that promise, at delivering amazing technology, and it is amazing, the whole social development of society as a result of the mobile phone. I'm not just talking about the West, the ability to communicate across places where it was difficult to lay down physical lines is a great achievement. And the ability of mobile phone operators to give you that promise, to express it in a way that's so simple and so attractive to everybody, my mother, everybody. And this is one of my favourite Orange adverts. The brand police at Orange tell me the font's wrong. But it says exactly what I think we're trying to get across. You have email in the palm of your hand. It's so beautifully simple. It just conveys everything, the full benefit of all that technology that's in those mobile phones. Hello. Another thing about technology is it never works. It just went off. So we do promise all this stuff. But if anyone's trying to set up email on a phone without an IT department, you guys obviously are clever, but normal human beings have singularly failed for about 5 years to ever set up email on the phone. And I think this is a tragedy. Why did we have all that technology in this phone? Why did we make this glorious promise when in fact it really didn't work? And the problem I have is that every time we develop a new technology or a new product or a service, the message I receive is, this is just fantastic. It will give people what they have always wanted, and they will not be able to live without it for the rest of their lives. And we've made, we being marketing managers, product managers, technical people, we've made all those important decisions. We've worked out what the product is, and we've chosen the supplier or the platform, and we created a very expensive technical prototype which we piloted with 1,000 people, mostly people like us who are far too clever. And by the way, you've now got 2 weeks to design the screens or the user experience or whatever it will be, and if it's late, it's your fault. Sound familiar? It's certainly what happens to me a lot. And it made me realise that the meaning of the word design is ridiculous if it's only seen as the thing you do at the end of the process, because all those other decisions have in fact created that user experience. So the user experience, we love Apple, don't we? But so the result is stuff rarely works, and I really mean it. In the mobile industry, okay, maybe technically it works, but even wider than that. How many times do passwords get lost? How many times do almost every technical system I know, if you actually analyse it, generally, by and large, and I really mean this, it doesn't actually work. Not work in the sense that normal people can come and interact with it without advanced technical knowledge. And the problems in services are uncovered far too late, and therefore there's no customer uptake. There's many examples I can give you from Orange. Talk Now, picture messaging. After text messaging, everyone thought it was going to be picture messaging, so they flood after it, and actually we just don't appear to have the need to send pictures, or perhaps it's just too expensive. So things fail. You get reduced revenue, you get system failure, you get a random customer experience, inconsistent brand delivery, and guess what? It happens again exactly the same next time. And it's not just it's not because there isn't great design. We can always do great design. I'm very proud of the look and feel I created for Orange. We worked very hard. I brought in brilliant designers. I spent a lot of money. We created hundreds and hundreds of pages and worked with many countries. But the reality was the first Orange front website looked like that. Nothing like it at all. It wasn't because we didn't have great design. It was because marketing, strategy, people, politics got in the way. There was a jaw behind every pixel of the portal. And to try and change something meant it would never happen. So, it's not design's fault, but the point is, design is in a much bigger context. And sometimes, I do believe we're far too happy to just do our design work, regardless of whether it actually affects and impacts the people we want it to. So if we're designing experiences, here's some examples that we're working on at Orange using new technologies, rich media, where we can do really exciting things. And finally, on a project like this, we managed to get in ahead of technology and say that this is what we should be doing. And this is where designers must go. We must be defining what the hell the thing should look like, and not just wait, to be honest, frankly. New models of doing retail experiences, new models of interactions, they're all there to be exploited. But we have to get in there and say what they are like. So I'm talking to digital designers, and I'm thinking, well, what is digital design about? For God's sake, don't tell me it's about typography. Don't tell me it's about form and structure and function or attention to layout, that kind of graphical stuff. Because if it is, we're in real trouble. No, digital design has to be right now about that facilitation of co-creation. We're in a world where design has become massively democratized, that we have to accept the people who are going to use, and we have to interact with them, and they have to almost author it. But I do think we need to be careful about how much authoring goes on by the people who use our stuff. But we need custom insight, real customer insight. We need real service innovation. We need to understand the brand DNA. There's different designs for different brands. That's a very simple concept. And we need to understand that consistency of experience that starts at a level of what we call hygiene. It has to work. But then it has to work with a wow. It has to work with delight. So what do I mean? I mean that every customer has a full user journey, a full customer experience. Sure, it starts with advertising and a million things, and it focuses into that. What the hell is in the box? What's it like taking it out of the box? What's setup like? The many, many products in Orange and France Telecom that have sometimes brilliant, sometimes dreadful setup procedures. What is the product actually like? As I say, taking account of the physical product is an incredibly important brand touch point mixed in with that whole digital experience. How do we use words? And I recently discovered that words are probably the most important design element in my toolkit. Calling things and meaning what they're called. Most mobile phones have about 3 different phrases for exactly the same function, 3 different parts of their menus, which is ridiculous. If you have TV on a mobile and it's called channel on the portal is something completely different. So the same word can be many things, and we really have to sort that out. Of course, user interface, visual look and feel, but that's in the product and it's out off the product into the web. So it's a very complex horizontal experience that actually designers should be responsible for. Not just the bit, not just the copy, not just the product, not just the digital experience. We have to think about what the end-to-end journey is. Because, unfortunately, companies, corporations, whoever they are institutionally unable to think of customer experience. I've yet to meet one. Well, of course, there is one. It's called Apple. But even then, they try the call centre. It's not very good. And then computers keep shutting down. You don't want them to. So the point is, designers have, whether we like it or not, we have to understand. We are the only people in this process who will actually stitch that journey together. And as I say, it's a journey of co-creation. It's slightly frightening to think that these people may affect and impact on the web service you're creating. But this is the point. We're in a Web 2.0 world where I fear those that don't understand this, that's a terrible phrase, will be very happy to say we don't have to make any decisions anymore. In fact, we don't have to design it anymore. Everything goes out as a beta test and our customers will tell us whether it's good or bad. Well, that is a terrible excuse for not designing things well. People will simply not understand the value of new services. Design is even more important in a Web 2.0 world than it was before. And innovation is one example of that. This is a homegrown example, but it always hits me as a great example. the home screen that I referred to on the front of our mobile phones. You know, we have a marketing spec, product managers tell us what they want, but they don't tell us that if you go up on that screen, you get information in plain English about your signal, about your batteries, about how many text messages you've got left and how many calls you've got left. That wasn't in the brief. That was designers saying, yeah, wouldn't it be nice if you could do that? And that's the point. And if we're just sitting there responding to briefs, we're never going to push innovation. It is designers' responsibility to push that. We talk about brand representing Orange. As I say, I'm very proud of Orange as a brand. These are our brand values. What on earth does that mean in a digital world? It could mean almost anything. So focusing in, understanding the framework, and we spend a lot of time developing interactive principles and behaviour that match those brand values so that people can feel those when they're interacting with our technology. And emotion. This might not look very emotional to you, but I realised when I look through the mobile phone industry, very, very few occasions can you look at something and go, wow. And actually, really annoyingly, I look at the Sky EPG, where you get a great EPG on your phone and you can record on your Skybox from your mobile phone and you just go, wow, that is a collective, the technology, the design, the enablers, it's all there, it's really simple, it's one button. And it almost never happens, you never get that. Well, in the end, it's an emotional satisfaction from design. And if we're not about emotion, what the hell are we about? Well, of course we're about design, and design is a difficult thing. How am I doing for time? Cheers. Because I thought I was speaking for an hour and a half. So, design, coming back from France, design is all about guys like Philippe Stark, who are sort of magicians and individual gurus like Simon, and they sort of sprinkle magic dust on everything they do, you know, and everyone goes, oh great, we don't have to worry about it anymore, you know. And then on the other hand, you've got the public thinking design's something to do with people like this, again, sort of, you know, oh, well, can't we just make over your website or your product or whatever? Do you want it with cocoa today? I think these are very misleading, upsetting definitions of design, and we have to kind of overcome that. You know, my chum, I'll name drop like hell because I once worked with him, with Johnny Ive, who, you know, people focus on these individuals as great design stars. But of course, you know, who knows who designed Google? Perhaps you do, or happen not to. Who knows who designed Flickr? You know, it's not a design star, but these are services and web experiences that are gorgeous. In the Web 2.0 world, they've been designed very well, and they got better. And that's really, really important, I think. Of course, everything we do is dependent on people having a strategy. The Chris Jobs at Apple has a strategy. And it's, you know, it's very difficult to communicate that to the leaders of business. That actually, you know, it's not just about getting a great designer in, it's about what they do with it. So strategy and leadership is something that, unfortunately, it's our job to try and persuade people that this is an important issue. You know, and we live in a country where leadership, you know, has a very different meaning in terms of the business world. You know, both these guys started with the same agenda to create cheap computers that everybody can use. You know, one was a barrow boy in Parliament High, another guy changed the UI, and the rest of the world followed. And look at the result. I don't have any Amstrad products in my house unless you count the Skybox. But I have an awful lot of Apple products in my house. I think, you know, who was more successful in the end. So, digital designers, I think we are creating, you know, the most powerful component of our customer experience, but we have to know it's part of many things. And are we aware of that whole experience, and how does the whole thing piece together? Because I think we have to look at that. And it is more than those visual components. It really is that set of decisions that are made often a long way from us, but certainly a long way from the impact and the experience that users have. So if we are representatives of that, of the customer in the design process, we can help clients see their business from a client side, which people, again, they really find difficult. Any designer will know that. However, unfortunately, designers are not always so right, and we are terribly vertically orientated. You know, we do sometimes reinforce those stereotypes and the categories, and I think we really must bust out of that and take a bigger responsibility. Otherwise, I think design will just become rather moribund and internally looking, because for me, design has a few very simple, very transferable attributes. It's about having more than one idea. Vice presidents and chief executives have one idea and run with it until they die. Whereas we say, let's have another idea. In fact, let's have a few ideas. And here's a piece of paper with someone. That's an amazingly important thing that accountants and marketing people cannot do. We can get insight. You know, I love this story of market research where Philips asked people to pick the colour of the radio they wanted. They all said the colourful, fashionable one in its day. And when they were given the radio as a gift for taking part in the research, they all took the other one. You know, they didn't do what they said they were going to do. And then at London's Heathrow Airport, where British Airport Authority are trying to discover what future passengers will be like when they realise they'd be old. So they followed old people around and realised they went into the toilet a lot. So great, build more toilets.